All right, it's 2024. We still don't have a Fantastic Four cast, but we're getting closer to some other casting thingies that are going to come out in the next, I don't know, couple of weeks or months or something, because they're going to start filming Superman Legacy soon. And it seems like a lot of other characters are going to cameo in that movie. And then a lot of those other characters are going to get their own movies, and they're going to just have to start filming those and signing contracts and all that stuff. So we're going to figure out who is playing those characters. And out of all the other DC characters that could cameo in Superman Legacy, the one that I think is most likely to show up, who's going to be in a movie or show in the future, is Superman's cousin, Kara Zor-El, aka Supergirl. Going to be a movie called Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, based on what might be one of the best comics of the last decade. I have it here. I talk about it a lot. I've recommended it to everybody. I cannot recommend it enough. It's by Tom King with art by Bilquis Evely and Mateus Lopez. It is just like, it's a gorgeous book. You can open it up to any page and find something super cool. I probably can do a better job. Yeah, like look at that. Ooh, that's a cool looking book, isn't it? And it's just a really fun, exciting story. I don't want to fully spoil it, but basically it's True Grit, where there's a little girl who enlists Supergirl's help to get revenge on someone who killed her father. And even though Supergirl originally does not want to do this, things happen and Supergirl does decide to take this girl, Ruthie, on this quest for revenge, and they learn about each other and revenge and stuff. It's a great book. Like I said, gorgeous, very easy to get your hands on. If you can find it, go pick this up. Now, we do not yet know who is going to play Supergirl. There were a lot of actors that people thought would be good Supergirls. A lot of it depends on what age you're looking for and what the Superman is like, because you got to figure she's a little bit younger than him, usually just based on the way that those characters are paired together. Like, technically she is older than he is because she was like a young adult when Krypton was destroyed. But I can't remember what the canon reason for this is. It's something like she goes through a wormhole and then shows up later than him. So like technically, he is like a 30-year-old man. She'll probably be a kid in her 20s. That's most likely what we're going to get. I suggested right before the new year, because I thought we might get some casting information about this, that I think that Kiernan Shipka would be a fantastic Supergirl in Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, specifically because of how I've seen her play characters that feel a lot like Kara, and specifically the Kara from that story. A character who has had a lot of tragedy happen to her, but on the other side, she's still trying to keep up this very positive, Supergirl front. It's a great book. I can't stress enough how good of a book this is. Either way, because of a movie that I saw her in, and it's not like the greatest part ever, but I was just like, man, this feels like what Supergirl is going to feel like. You can watch that video later. But in the last couple of weeks, we got reports. These have not been fully confirmed. James Gunn, I believe, has not come out and said these are the actors that are screen testing for Kara. Also, other actors could be screen testing. The way that this article phrased it was, these three are in the running, but that doesn't mean they're the only actors that are in the running. So it's completely possible that even though these three actors could technically be auditioning right now, none of them get picked. But if you look at how the rest of this has gone with like Superman and Lois and how they were cast, we found out about 3 actors that were in the running, and then one of them got picked. So I think, it's reasonable to assume these are the 3 actors that are in the running to play Supergirl. But I just want to go over all 3 of them so you know who they are. And I'll say right off the bat, I think most of them would be pretty good. It's hard to pick a favorite. They're all good at different things, or at least certain ones have things that stand out to me. It's like, well, that's why she would be a very good Supergirl. And, this other actor may not be quite as good. But, this is a part that I would say not quite as much like Superman or Batman, where like we as a comic book reading public, or just like the general public, don't have as clear of a picture in our eyes for like what a Supergirl is supposed to look and sound like. We have a pretty vague idea based on the CW show and kind of based on the version from the Flash movie. Although I don't say she's a great example of what a Supergirl character usually feels like, because she kind of plays the role that Superman plays in Flashpoint, where she's an alien that's been in prison for a while. So she doesn't have like the kind of personality that you expect from Kara. But that is the other main Supergirl that people are kind of familiar with. But I think they have a little bit more flexibility with Supergirl than they do with someone like Superman, where we all have an idea in our head of like, this is what a Superman actor should look like. And I think, that's why Cord and Sweat is good. I will also say, James Gunn so far has been casting actors that feel pretty safe in terms of not just like that they're good actors or anything like that, but just they all look kind of like the characters do in the comics, right? We haven't done any really interesting things with races of characters or, no gender swapping that I can remember. It's pretty much like in the comics, is this guy a white guy? Well, in the movie, he will be played by a white guy. And that could change eventually. And like they could, get more creative with this. But I guess we've gotten to the point now where like if James Gunn is casting a role in a live action DC movie, I'm going to assume the actor he casts looks a lot like the character in the comics. But just in general, maybe this is because they're starting from scratch. It seems like they're playing it pretty safe with some of these picks, which I think is fine. But it just leads me to believe, like, in the future, do I think we're going to get, a non-white Hal Jordan? Probably not. I think we're going to get a white Hal Jordan. Like, just because that's what it is. And, like, do I think they're going to, I don't know, do a Booster Gold but a woman? No, probably not. It's probably just going to be a white guy around the age you're expecting. I would say when it comes to casting guys that James Gunn is going to put in something, a lot of the differences in, like, who I pick and who he seems to end up picking has to do with the ages of the characters that he's looking for. His Superman is in his 30s. I was kind of expecting he would get somebody a little bit younger than that. So I think knowing now how old some of these characters are, it helps to plot the rest of them. Like I said, I do think the Supergirl in this movie is going to be in her 20s. Specifically, she should be 21 because in this comic, Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, she's celebrating her 21st birthday. That being said, you could change that. You could make it her 24th birthday or 25th birthday or something if the actor doesn't conceivably look 21. However, all these actors do, so I feel like this is reasonable. Let's start with the first one. I have some information here. We got Emilia Alcock. She is Australian, first of all, 23 years old, 5 feet 5 inches, and you probably know her from House of the Dragon or the show Upright. She's pretty popular, I would say. House of the Dragon was a very high profile role. She played the main Targaryen in Game of Thrones, and I think she was on all the posters. Now, that character got aged up, so there was like a time jump, so she's currently being played by a different actor. But for a while, Emilia Alcock was the face of this big new HBO show. I think in the HBO show, she was quite good. She seems like she's very competent. I'll say the thing about Millie that I like the best is she has a certain edge that I don't think these other two actors that we're going to get to necessarily do. I don't think that means that they can't get there, and I don't think this Supergirl needs to be incredibly edgy, but that is part of this character. This Supergirl should also kind of have an edge. So I do think Emilia Alcock may be the best pick for that. Next up, we got Emilia Jones. She's English. She's 21 years old, 5'6", mostly known for Coda, the movie Cat Person, which I haven't seen, but I did know she's in, and then the show Lock and Key, which I watched a couple of episodes and then didn't really finish. So I mostly know her from Coda. I'm sure that's where you probably know her from as well. In that movie, she played the main daughter. This was a big Academy Award-winning picture, and I think she is also solid. I'd say out of these three, she's definitely not the worst in terms of worst. Whereas like Millie is maybe the most unusual, and then the next one, which we'll get to, is good for another reason that only she can kind of do. But Emilia's right in the middle. And I think if we didn't know any of these actors and they just said, we cast Emilia Jones from Coda, I'd be like, that's pretty good. This is a solid pick. I would say her biggest strength, well, first of all, she is the youngest of these three actors by 2 years, which does give her a little bit more longevity. I don't think she's quite as known as Emilia Alcock. She wasn't the face of a big HBO show. Yes, she was in Coda and she was a big part of Coda, but I wouldn't say her performance is what most people left that movie remembering. It was the parents, the whole family dynamic. So I think that sort of helps her a little bit here. She isn't so big that you'd see her and go, oh, it's a girl from House of the Dragon or whatever. You'd go, oh, this is Supergirl. This is a new person. The one other thing about her, Supergirl, traditionally blonde. I can't say for these other actors, but I've seen pictures of Emilia and she seems to have brown hair. You can dye it. Also, you can put on wigs. It's fine. I think she does have the look. She does look like Supergirl. And then number 3, Meg Donnelly. She is American. She's 23 years old, 5'3", the shortest of the three. She's mostly known for 3 things. She's in High School Musical, the musical, the series, which I haven't seen. People are very excited about, and I know a lot of the actors in that have come up in different casting lists before because it's just a really good pool for young talent. She was on that show, The Winchesters, which I believe is a spinoff of Supernatural. Also haven't seen. Then, most notably, she voiced Supergirl in the Legion of Superheroes animated movie that just came out a year or two ago. I think this is a very interesting pick. I would say, just in my gut, the fact that she is in this conversation and has already voiced Supergirl in another thing, meaning she is the safest bet. I think she looks perfect. Like she's got the look of Supergirl easily, but just the fact that like she has already played Supergirl in a movie that is good, like it's a solid voice performance, and that she's also the Supergirl in the Crisis on Infinite Earths movie, which I haven't watched all of yet, so I haven't seen her in it yet, but like it was a solid Supergirl performance. Like I think based on the 3 actors that were brought up, it kind of feels like it's hers to lose, right? But you wouldn't put her in this conversation unless she, maybe didn't have a good chemistry test with the actor that they want to get to play Ruthie, or with David Corns who had Superman or something like that. We don't know how much time she's going to have on screen with Superman. We don't even know if they're actually going to be in the same movie. I could see a world where she shows up in a pod at the very end of the movie as like a post-credit scene, and I could also see a world where she is off-world, like not around for the events of Superman Legacy, but like doing stuff on other planets, so she's not in the movie at all. But I do think like they're probably going to start making this Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow movie pretty soon, so I imagine you just want to cast an actor pretty quickly. But yeah, I think Meg Donnelly just feels like the best pick right here. Like she's clearly a fan of the character. She did a very good Supergirl performance voice-wise, but it's not like she doesn't also look like Supergirl and isn't going to be able to put in a performance that's believable that way. And like, yeah, I don't know, but I just don't think there's anything you could do in a competition like this against Meg Donnelly, who has already done a good job playing Supergirl. I don't know. That's just me. Like I have not seen High School Musical, the series, and I haven't seen the Winchesters. But just from watching her Supergirl performance, yeah, I can see her playing Supergirl in live action. I also think she's in a great spot as not being a humongous name, someone that can fully like step into the role. And also, I think that story will be good if she did get the role. Be like, oh, this actor has actually already played Supergirl before. Although it would just do nothing but feel a bunch of weird little, pieces about like, oh, does that mean that the Tomorrowverse is connected? And it's not. It's definitely not if it becomes her. But I think that, yeah, she'd be my pick out of the 3. I don't think any of them are bad choices. And I think I like them all about as much as I like Kiernan Shipka. Yeah, I think like right now, there are other characters that I think are way more tricky. Basically, all of the members of the Authority. I'm like, who are they going to get for those roles? Because those could be really strange. Those are characters that could be interpreted a lot of different ways. Whereas with Supergirl, it's like, yeah, I think they got three good Supergirls here. I think we're in good shape. I'm excited. I hope that they announce this pretty soon. And, I hope that Marvel decides who's in the Fantastic Four sometime before the movie is released.